Hello, I'm Darren Hardy, mentor to high-performing entrepreneurs and publisher of Success Magazine. And I'd like to welcome you on what I know will be a very special journey. Together, we're going to travel through several decades with a man who can best be described as the mentor to the masters, Mr. Jim Rohn. It is my honor and great thrill to be your personal guide on what I can assure you will be an epic adventure in your personal growth and inner potential. I also want to congratulate you for making the decision to step up and seize this opportunity to expand your knowledge and refine your success philosophy. By doing so, you join the ranks of elite achievers who grab the reins of their life and take responsibility for their own personal growth and development. I'm proud of you, and I know that Jim would be proud of you as well for taking action to build a better future for you, for your family, and for the community of people that you serve and influence. Over the next 10 weeks, you will have a once-in-a-lifetime access to the best of Jim Rohn's foundational success philosophies and the unique insight on how to live a truly extraordinary life. Trust me when I say these ideas can have a dramatic impact on your life, as they have mine and as they've had on the other masters that you're going to hear from during this dynamic learning journey. For over 40 years, Jim used his unique gifts as a profound thinker, captivating storyteller, and stirring orator to engage and inspire audiences to pursue their greater potential and go for their most audacious goals. Simply put, Jim Rohn was a national treasure. His wisdom ignited the flames of possibility and transformed the lives of millions of people. And although Jim no longer walks amongst us, the footprints he left behind are everlasting, and they are soon to be felt in your life over the next 10 weeks. This series is deeply personal for me. I have a profound respect and love for Jim Rohn. When Jim passed away in 2009, I was heartbroken. At that point in my life, I have never lost anyone as important to me as Jim had become. For me, Jim was so much more than America's greatest business philosopher. He was my teacher, the most influential man in my life, second only to my biological father. Jim had been my personal mentor for 15 years up to that point. I had spent thousands of hours under his tutelage and guidance. Much of that guidance was during his live workshops and recorded content, a lot of which you're going to get a chance to experience through this program. Those 15 years with Jim were at a critical period in my life. I am certain that Jim saved me from an arduous, unfulfilling, and probably lonely life. You see, when I met Jim, I was a young whippersnapper, as they say. I was an intense, highly ambitious, and probably full of himself 20-something with an insatiable hunger and yearning for more. When I met Jim in 1994, I had achieved a good level of success, relatively speaking. But I had done it through sheer brute force, sometimes brutal force. Until then, the only philosophy that I knew about winning was what I was taught by my university football coach father. He taught me life was a battlefield. It was hand-to-hand combat with the competition. If you wanted to win, you had to outwork, out-sacrifice, and outlast everyone. No whining, no crying, no excuses. No pain, no gain. While I appreciate and certainly benefited from the boot camp that was my upbringing, I had reached a level of success that had me stuck at the time. I couldn't work any more hours. There weren't any. There was nothing left to sacrifice in my life. I had no life outside of working. I'll never forget the cold, rainy December day, sitting in the back of the seminar room with my overcoat lying across my lap. I didn't know Jim at the time. I was waiting for the seminar to be over and hoping it would be soon so that I could meet with its promoter, the man that I was there to see. Jim asked the audience, "How many people here want to have more?" More? I thought, yeah, man, that's why I was there. More was what I was always pursuing. I remember reaching into the breast pocket of my overcoat to pull out my trusty notebook. Maybe this wispy white-haired guy with the fascinating voice intonation leaning on the lectern, looking over his glasses, sitting at the end of his nose, had something worthwhile to say. He said, "Success is not something you pursue. What you pursue eludes you. It could be like trying to chase butterflies. Instead, he said, success is something that you attract by the person you become. I had not heard that twist of logic before. You see, my pursuit of success had caused me to become a burnout, rundown, and probably not so likable guy. But Jim's words, they touched me. They transformed me. Right there in that moment, I realized it wasn't what I needed to do in order to create the kind of life that I really wanted. It was who I needed to become. If I wanted more, then I had to become more than I was. Once I understood that philosophy, everything changed for me. After that fortuitous meeting with Jim, I stopped pursuing success and started the journey to becoming the kind of person I needed to be in order to achieve my bigger goals and dreams. This is when my apprenticeship with Jim began. Jim cemented my philosophical foundation and nourished my mind with ideas and ambitions never before imagined. Jim chiseled every aspect of my character, seminar by seminar, tape by tape, book by book, and then CD by CD, hour by hour. Jim emboldened my belief in me and in my most daring dreams. When I fell and was bloodied, Jim was there with encouraging words to help me get back up. When I didn't think I could go on, Jim convinced me I was stronger than I imagined. When I wanted a shortcut, Jim reminded me there aren't any. And even when I got too caught up in trying to achieve and succeed, Jim compelled me to leave room to live, laugh, and to love. Little by little, along the way, new doors of opportunity began to open for me, doors that I had been struggling to unlock for years. Within 4 years of meeting Jim, I had a multi-million-dollar net worth at the age of 27, but the numbers only tell a tiny fraction of the story. Jim's influence helped shape every aspect of my life, my character, my health, my personal philosophy, and even my relationships. When I decided I was ready to be married, I sat down one long weekend and designed out the ideal woman for me. I wrote down everything that I wanted in a mate. I described this woman in exhaustive detail. Her personality, her character, her habits, her attitude, her tastes, desires, opinions, and perspective on everything that I could think of. I filled up 40 pages describing this ideal woman. I then reread my notes and felt pretty proud of this amazing creature that I had created on paper. Then I remember thinking, plotting, scheming on what I could do to get this girl. That is when I heard the wise words of my mentor echo in my head. What you pursue eludes you. To attract success, you have to become an attractive person. I then started to write down everything that this woman that I described on the previous 40 pages would want for herself in a man. What would she want in her ideal man? Well, I described him in the same detail. His personality, his character, his habits, attitudes, tastes, desires, and outlook on life. I filled up another 40 pages. Then I read the description and realized that I had a problem, a big problem. I saw the gap between this man and who I was. The gap became my new personal development plan. As a testimony to Jim's success philosophy, less than 2 years later, as if she had been peeled off the pages of my journal, my wife Georgia is the splitting image of the ideal woman that I described. I know for certain, if it weren't for Jim, it is likely I'd still be on that butterfly chase looking for that woman. I guess you could say that Jim helped me meet my wife. Well, at least helped me become the kind of man worthy of meeting and attracting a woman like my wife. I hope that story helps clarify why I feel such an emotional connection to Jim Rohn. Jim taught me how to amass far greater treasures than just a paycheck. There's no question that I would not be the man or achiever that I am today if not for his mentorship. This is why my first book, The Compound Effect, was dedicated to Jim and all he helped me become. In fact, when my time on this earth is over, I think the inscription on the back of my tombstone should read, "Made by Jim Rohn." And my story is just one example of the significant influence that Jim had. Throughout this series, you will see just how enduring Jim's message has been, because some of the other masters who were mentored by him will share their own stories of the indelible impact Jim has had on their lives and ability to achieve and positively influence others. Even if you've never heard the name Jim Rohn before today, you'll come to understand the profound, far-reaching impact that he's made in the lives of his students. So, what made Jim Rohn and his message so special? Well, for me, it was his uncomplicated, down-to-earth style. With everything he accomplished in his remarkable life, it should be remembered that Jim came from humble beginnings. Growing up on a small farm in Idaho, it was his simple upbringing that ultimately shaped his teaching style and philosophies. Jim never jumped around on stage trying to get his audience pumped up, and he didn't give lectures or presentations either. Jim's philosophies are rooted in timeless, fundamental truths. He didn't tout the latest fad or claim there was some secret or some new scientific breakthrough to living an exceptional life. He simply shared his ideas and what he had learned from his own experiences. His lessons are remarkably simple, yet, when put into action, have the ability to be life-changing. This is why his legacy endures. Maybe like me, you consider Jim an old friend, and you're hoping to get reacquainted. Or perhaps you're just getting to know Jim Rohn, this guy that everyone keeps talking about, and you're looking for a good place to start. No matter who you are or where you are in your success journey, I have no doubt you'll be enlightened and emboldened by this collection. Over the next 10 weeks, you're going to experience the ultimate Jim Rohn seminar. So here are a few tips to help you maximize this grand adventure you're about to take. Each week you'll receive a new module containing carefully selected segments from Jim's life work. We've scoured the archives and found the footage from the 1980s all the way to the early 2000s. We even opened up the vault and uncovered video of some of Jim's earliest seminars, which haven't been seen by anyone for years. And, as promised, an extraordinary modern-day master who studied under the guidance of the master maker himself, Mr. Jim Rohn, will introduce each module. You'll get to hear their stories, along with their own philosophies about success and personal achievement. And as your personal guide, I will be there as you complete each module, with some parting words or maybe even some advice, and maybe a homework assignment to help you take action on the new wisdom that you've just gained. Along with the video file, you'll receive an audio-only file as well. You'll also get a progressive workbook that you can download and use as you go through each module. These will be all delivered to your Foundations for Success private access membership site. There will also be plenty of opportunities for you to network and share your thoughts with your fellow companions who will be with you on this journey. I encourage you to pay attention to each new email that you receive, alerting you to the arrival of each new module. These emails may contain special instructions for how to interact with a specific module and get the most benefit from it. There's another reward for investing in this special learning program. You'll have the chance to upgrade your experience by purchasing additional Jim Rohn programs at membership-only discounted prices. Now, I'd like you to make a promise to yourself, and that is, once you begin this 10-week journey, you'll be all in. Let me explain. Do you know anyone who will shell out big bucks for a concert or a ball game or some other live event only to leave before it's over? Jim used to marvel at those people, the ones who knock the back of your head with their knees or step on your feet as they try to shuffle sideways down a crowded row of seats just to get to the exit. Why do they do it? To beat the traffic? Well, as Jim used to say, isn't that a great skill? Beating the traffic. The point Jim and I are trying to make is this: don't leave early. When you purchased this program, you made a significant monetary investment. Now you need to commit to investing something even more valuable, your time. And why wouldn't you make that commitment? The lessons and insights contained in this series are invaluable, and I can tell you from personal experience, life-changing. And not only are you getting some of the best of Jim Rohn, you have the incredible opportunity to hear from those who have been mentored and inspired by him. And you're going to want to see and hear all the treasures contained in the bonus materials. So I encourage you to stay for the entire 10-week series until you are finished. See things through and dedicate yourself to being completely engaged. Pay attention, focus, take notes, and use your workbook. Jim always said, wherever you are, be there. So as you're watching each video, imagine yourself there, in the room with Jim Rohn. Trust me, the people in Jim's audiences weren't checking their voicemails or emails or working on other projects while listening to Jim's voice in the background. They were fully present, at the edge of their seat, for every moment, and you should be too. Don't cheat yourself. There's one more promise that I'd like you to make. Once you've listened to the modules and collected the ideas and answers in the accompanying progressive workbook each week, download the audio file and put it on a mobile device. Then listen to that module again while you're driving, stuck in traffic, during your morning workout, or while you're traveling. It doesn't matter if you're already familiar with the content in a particular module. I want you to treat each one as if it's the very first time you've ever heard it. My advice to you is this. Listen to each individual module a minimum of 3 times. But feel free to listen 5, 6, and even 10 times. I know I will. You'll be amazed by the new discoveries you make each time. Here's what I mean. A few weeks ago, my wife and I agreed to have a quiet dinner at home and afterwards watch a movie together. Sounds great, right? As it turns out, the movie that she wanted to watch was a suspenseful drama, one which we had already seen before. I asked her, why do you want to watch this movie? We've seen it already. Wouldn't you rather see something new? She explained that this movie was one of her favorites and that she could happily watch it again and again because each time it got even better. Fine, I said. I'll admit at first I wasn't thrilled about sitting through this 2-hour-long movie when I already knew how the story would end. But as I watched, something fascinating happened. Supporting characters that I thought were once one-dimensional turned out to be more integral to the plot than I had first realized. There were little bits of dialogue that actually foreshadowed significant events that would happen later in the film that were interesting. Certain objects took on new meaning, background action revealed important clues. I couldn't believe all that I had missed in the intricate details the first time around. It wasn't until I watched the movie again that I noticed them, and you know what? They made the whole story way more compelling, engaging, and much more entertaining. I enjoyed and appreciated the film even more the second time. You see, the first time that I watched this movie, I was just trying to take it all in. What's happening? Where are we? Who's who? But when I saw it the second time, I was able to pay attention to the finer points of the story. And that's what I'd like you to do as you go through this series as well. Just because you might have seen or heard something before doesn't mean there's nothing new to learn. I still have the very first Jim Rohn CD that I ever purchased, and guess what? I still listen to it, and I probably have listened to it 100 times, and I never get tired of it, and it never fails to inspire me and reinvigorate me. So, once you've listened to a module, go back and listen again, and again, and again. Find out if you can gain a greater understanding of a particular philosophy, or if a new idea comes into focus. Who knows? You may find something you didn't even know you were looking for. The next 10 weeks will be a truly inspiring experience. You're about to receive an abundance of information about setting goals, effective leadership, time management, the power of communication, how to create wealth and become financially independent, and how to make small changes in your own personal philosophy that can have enormous results. Without Jim's influence, I am certain I would not have the extraordinary life that I enjoy today. I owe so much of who I am to Jim, and he will forever hold a special place in my heart. Besides my own father, no other man influenced my life more. I want you to have the same life-changing experience that I had in 1994 when I first met Jim. So I'm dedicated to carrying the torch, passing along his teachings, and preserving his legacy. That's the commitment I made to Jim during his final days in 2009. And it's the commitment that I'm making to you right now. I'm excited that we're about to embark on this journey together. So, are you ready? In good Jim Rohn fashion, if you're ready, say, I'm ready! Okay then, let's begin. Go on to Module 1.